Hello, everyone. This is Katie Town, Regional Marketing Manager for AGCO, and this is my first chance to say Happy New Year to many of you. Hope you all had a wonderful holiday season. I don't know about you, but that already feels like about 6 months ago rather than a few weeks ago. We appreciate you taking the time to join us this afternoon on our first dealer education webinar for 2020. It was good to see this caught the attention of many of you as we have quite a few people online today. Primarily, I think because you think of our AGCO Direct team as helping you to promote product, but not necessarily as a resource to help you promote you and attracting the right talent to join your organization. But as we know, with any type of promotion, digital is where you simply must be to reach your target audience, and recruiting to fill positions is no different. So you've got to be ready to reach those people where they are most likely, and that's probably with a phone in their hand. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Heidi, who's going to take us through today's presentation.
Hello, welcome everybody. So we know that employee recruitment is an issue for a lot of businesses nationwide right now. So that's why we really thought that it was a good thing to kick the year off with. Just a quick overview of what we're going to go through today. We're going to talk about recruitment campaigns and what that actually looks like, but more than just recruitment campaigns too, just about your employment brand, and a lot of people will refer to that as your company culture. We are going to go into the social media and digital tactics that we recommend if you're trying to recruit or build your employment brand, and then as well as how to get the most engagement and retention from whatever campaign you decide to run. So as you're listening to this, I imagine there might be some different objectives out there. There's different reasons and different needs that you have at your organizations for employees. So I want to talk about those just to start off with, because you can think of them in different ways. This first objective would be developing employment branding strategy for your dealership and elevate its reputation as an employer of choice. So that might be back to that idea of your culture, and not only do you need to run, advertisements that say, yes, we're hiring, but you also want to make it so that it's not a cycle that you're continuously going through. You want to create a culture where people want to stay so that you aren't always running recruitment campaigns. So we find that in the busy or in the really crowded hiring environment that we're in right now, that creating that employment brand is actually very important. And as you get into some of these newer generations, these younger generations that are coming into the workforce, they continually, regardless of the industry, rank sort of their company's values as very important to whether or not they want to work at a place or stay at a place. The second objective you might have, and maybe you have all three of these, but the second one might be that you have a lot of immediate openings and you need to deploy an immediate recruitment campaign, and that's, you just got to fill the pipeline with some applications right now. And then thirdly, this might be even reaching out further than your employment brand, but as we think about this, we've seen a lot of statistics nationwide that as baby boomers retire and age out of the workforce, those younger generations are not going to fill the workforce at the same level. And so we're going to this is going to be the issue for a while. So are there any ideas out there for reaching that next generation of workers, as well as talking to their parents? So that might be sort of a more of an awareness campaign where you're targeting parents of high school kids about maybe getting into some certain industries that serve your company. So just to lay it out, as you think about this, I think a lot of us think about that number two of just, I need applicants now, but those other two components are important as well as we talk about this. So what we know, it's a very competitive job market. As I said, there are lots of similar openings and a nationwide skilled worker shortage. We also know that there's a shift in how people job hunt today. In the past, it worked to run campaigns in newspaper ads, and, to put up flyers and those sorts of things. And people just look for jobs a lot differently today. It's a very digital world. We know that from all the other advertising we do with you guys. And because of that digital landscape, it's hard to cut through the clutter. If you went out today and you were looking for truck drivers, you would find hundreds in your area, maybe thousands of businesses also looking for truck drivers, and it's hard to cut through the clutter. So being really smart about how you target your audience is key. The new generation is worried about student debt. In some ways, this works to the advantage if you're hiring skilled workers. Fewer people or fewer young people today want to take on that 4-year debt. So getting in front of them early and talking about some of those skilled labor jobs that they can get into that maybe have on-the-job training or minimal training is important. And then every community is going to be a little bit different in its hiring challenges. So as we talk through things today, I'm going to go in generalities. But as we get down, if you end up reaching out to AGCO Direct to help with any campaigns, what your strategy looks like might look really different than another dealership in a different region or even just a different part of your state, just simply because there is so much that plays into the job market. So I talked a little bit about building and developing your employer brand, and it isn't that different than any sort of brand building that you would do, but it's about identifying, as an employer, who you want to be and what you want your employees to think of you. So first of all, it's define your goals. What are you truly hoping to get out of it? Is it just that you're trying to meet some recruitment needs, or is it that you're trying to reach generations to come and really be a career path? Or do you know that this is the kind of job that you're not necessarily going to get somebody in for their career? Really sort of knowing where do you want to go is important at the beginning of any campaign. We recommend gathering feedback from your newest employees. So how did they find out about you? Where did they first apply? Where else have they worked? What made them decide to join your company? Those are all good questions to ask because it'll help educate you on the rest of the job market and what's valuable to people in your community. And then identify differentiators. What are the things that you offer that maybe some businesses that are competing for the same laborers can't offer? So maybe you have really flexible work hours, or you have shift work that allows them to work a certain number of days on and then have a long period of time off. Maybe you have excellent benefits, all of those things you see, but really identify what are those things that truly make you different. That's a key to even just having good creative and having good morale, because if those are the things that make you different, sometimes you forget at a workplace that those are important, or those are core things to what you do because you live them every day. But if you start talking about them more as an organization, as you've developed your employer brand, then you remember that's the reason why I work here, and it helps to build sort of company morale and increase the likelihood that people are going to stick around. And then develop your value proposition. So that sounds very marketing-y to me, but basically what it is what is it that you truly are providing for your employees, and having that as something you can all at a leadership level recite, and even down to the employee level, really, why do I work here, and what it is you offer to your employees and your community. And then we recommend creating messages for different audiences. So as I mentioned before, you might be at the point where you need to cultivate that next generation. So as you're doing sponsorships and stuff and tactics such as that, you may want to talk to your community in a different way you talk to your actual recruits, and your internal employees differently than you talk to maybe the parents of potential employees. So deciding how it is that you want to position yourself among the different audiences you'll want to reach, and then test it with your employees. We've done employment brand campaigns before where, we meet with maybe a few people from the business, and then we talk to other employees who maybe work in completely different areas or are from a different generation and don't value that or don't see the same things that others. So part of building an employer brand is making your employees feel on board with that. So I just put together some sample key messages that might be something that is sort of in the direction as we talk about creating key messages for different audiences. I'm not going to read through all of these, but if you just take a look, these are things that these are messages that we created for a client based on sort of what their goals and their values were that they decided on after doing things like interviewing their employees and deciding what their differentiators were. And then I talked about creating different messages for different audiences. So you can see here we've decided that we have different prospects. So it's students, it's soon to be graduates interested in joining the family culture at your business. Their parents, because we know young people today rely heavily on their parents to help them make key decisions such as their career or where they're going to go to school. So if you are targeting that next generation of you're going to need welders because your whole welding staff is going to be retiring in the next 5 years, then that's the kind of thing you would be thinking about. And then we get down to the welders, diesel workers, whoever those skilled workers that you might have, and those might be more of the immediate hires that you're doing a recruitment campaign for. And then professionals, so office work. If you have office workers, that you might talk to them differently, and they might have different values in a career than somebody who isn't at a computer all day. And so I recommend setting it up as the objective of what do you get these people? What is it that you want them to do? And then what's the key message that's going to get them to do that? And then we talk about the main drivers. So if we want soon-to-be graduates interested in joining your company, then we say start a hands-on rewarding career making quality equipment. And then the key drivers for them in wanting to make that decision are a fulfilling career, skilled training, competitive pay, and respect among peers. And again, this is based on some of that feedback that you're getting from your existing employees and newer employees. So that's just an example of how you could go about developing your employer brand. And then we should talk about content that you create around this too. So you really want to approach any recruitment or your overall company culture from a holistic approach. So you wouldn't want to just, make this into a document and then never revisit it. You would want to have content that maps back to this, and we're going to be showing some examples here so that makes sense to you. But content should always answer those questions that your different personas or audiences are asking along their decision-making journey. So as they're looking for a job, what are those questions that they might have along the way? And then making sure you have content that they would find if they were maybe searching on Google or looking into your specific business. If you can answer that question with them without them even knowing they're really asking, that can probably seal the deal for some employees. So, some of the questions they might have is, do I have to travel? Is this a stable career? Why would I want to work for an AGCO dealer? What are the benefits like? How do I buy my tools? And what do people like about working there? So here's some content ideas, and these might live on a blog if you have that, or even just on your social media spaces, or if you guys do any PR efforts and are pitching to media outlets, introduce key and or new employees through video interviews, fun Q&As, or simple personal photos with 3 facts about them. So we talk about the AGCO social media program a lot. And so these are some of those things that you can create that can help supplement some of those more product-focused posts that can make it feel more, make your dealership feel more tied into your community and make your employees feel really valued at the same time. So again, that goes to congratulating employees who are recognized in the community. You could do frequently asked questions in a Facebook Live video with some team members, maybe talking about a piece of equipment. And again, that just shows it's a fun team to be a part of. You'd be working with people who understand the products they work on and are proud to do that. And then employee testimonials, maybe you give it a fun hashtag of why I work here and do it regularly. And then we always encourage alternative media. So I think a lot of times when we think of content, we think about photos and written copy, but doing a Facebook Live or using features such as Facebook Stories or Instagram Stories can help convey these too. So again, taking a holistic approach and making sure it's a part of your overall presence on social media. And then talk about any training or career advancement. And I think, again, that really goes back to some of those questions that people might have as they're looking at your dealership for a job, or maybe it's even just a customer who has a son-in-law or something, might come across it and share it with them. So those are just some content ideas that get back to this idea of giving your employee brand life. So on your social media strategy, again, I mentioned earlier, if you're signed up for the social media program through AGCO, implementing some of this employee content can go really far into making it feel well-rounded, because social media is all about creating a community. It's one of the first places that candidates look to find out about a company's culture and values. So that goes back to why we're talking all about this employment branding. So it's something like over 70% of people will look to social media before either applying for a job or accepting a job. So it really is important to have your social media spaces reflect, I'm a fun place to work, and not just be all about your products, especially if you're running a heavy recruitment campaign, because people are inevitably going to go on Facebook and look it up and see if they know anybody who works there, or just sort of what it's like to work there. So we recommend, as you're planning out your social media posts, that prospective employees are an important audience, and to incorporate a heavy dose of recruitment and culture content into those existing strategies. I just wanted to talk a little bit about how we view the different social platforms and the most important platforms for if you are trying to recruit employees. So Facebook, obviously we talk about Facebook a lot. It's the best social platform to find and reach ideal candidates. That's simply just because that's got the highest volume of candidates on it. We encourage you to update, any of your about sections or even some of your imagery to make sure you're including, we're a fun place to work and we value our employees, those sorts of messages, because the people that are coming to your page are going to be people who are inquiring about you as a business, not just about what you sell. One of the ways that we've seen Facebook use really effectively is to engage employment ambassadors to like, comment, and share your content. So if you have some key employees or salespeople who are really active on Facebook and have a broad network of people, they might be good candidates for this to share this content out, make sure they're commenting on it so it's showing up in people's feeds, those sorts of things. And Facebook is also really good at geo-targeting and customizing posts by recruitment areas. So if you have sort of a very specific thing that you're trying to recruit for, it's got really good targeting for that. LinkedIn is one of the best generators for qualified applicants for professional roles, although I will say that more and more in the manufacturing space, some skilled workers are getting on there too. So we, again, incorporate your employment branding into the page's messaging, and the majority of your content on LinkedIn should really be about culture and trading partnership content. And then to, make sure you're sharing it on there. YouTube is the second most used search engine, only behind Google. So one way you could use that is to, just create an overall employment branded video to inform potential recruits who might be going to YouTube and searching for you. I know Butler created some video recently for their employment recruitment and did a really nice job on those if you wanted to check those out. And the nice thing about that is including testimonials from existing employees is always a nice touch. We tend to trust people more than we do companies or the government. So anytime you can make something feel like more than a marketing message is great. And testimonials from real employees are a great way to do that. And then again, any education or partnerships that you have within your community, maybe you partner with a community college to do some training, including content about that, as well as any benefit explanations that you feel comfortable sharing. Glassdoor is the fastest growing job site, and it's also one of the places where people are most often searching about a business. So if I'm a potential applicant, I may go to Glassdoor and search a business on there because it gives me a rating based on past and current employees. So employees can go on there and give you a ranking for what they thought of your company. And so if you're at a computer right now, I encourage you to go to Glassdoor and search your business on there and see what your rating is. If it's lower than you would like it to be and you haven't claimed your page yet, I suggest you do that soon. And then update all of your information on there with those employee branding messages that you develop. And then once you do that, make sure that you're managing reviews on an ongoing basis. I've seen companies recommend that their leadership go on and leave reviews. Leadership tends to leave mostly positive reviews, and just encouraging your employees who you know are happy to go on there and do it is a great way to get your rating up if it's not where you would like it to be. And then always making sure that you're managing those reviews from there onward. You can reply to somebody's comment, and then I always worry when you start replying to comments on social media that you're starting a back and forth that will never end. But the nice thing about Glassdoor is if somebody goes on there and leaves you a rating as well as a comment to say, I really didn't like working for this company that had awful benefits, or the pay isn't competitive here, as a brand going on there and saying, thanks, we really value your feedback and we'll take this back to our leadership to improve the experience of our future employees. And just keeping it really positive, and if there's correcting any inaccuracies, because a lot of times, we've all used social media, we know there's lots of inaccuracies out there in comments. So, in a very positive way, correcting any inaccuracies, and then it doesn't allow the person to comment back again, so that you're starting this back and forth that you're going to get sucked into for days. Sorry. Did we skip a couple? Sorry, just a little technical glitch here. Replying to ratings, reply promptly, use personal language, and make it sound like a real person and not just an automated message. So I'd take time to pick out some of the specifics that they've said in there and make it feel like it's not just you copy and paste the same thing to everyone. On particularly negative comments, a simple "we appreciate you sharing this feedback and we'll address it with our teams" can go a long way. Commenters get notifications that the company has responded but can't respond back, and you can amplify, or I encourage you to amplify positive messages with a "yes, we're proud to offer many advancement opportunities to our employees," or "we're so glad that you enjoy working here," those sorts of things. We also recommend referral programs. So if you're having a really hard time finding or getting applicants, getting your existing employees to make referrals is a really effective way to do that. So we all like to be rewarded, and if they're recommending friends or family members, you can create a written policy around it. We recommend keeping it very simple, and it just helps your existing employees get excited about new employees, and as well as whatever brand you create around your company culture. You could give away prizes. We see some companies that the referral program results in an actual prize. Other times it's just an acknowledgement that they've helped out the team, but it could be a cash bonus. And that's probably going to vary based on whatever factors you put into your written policy. It could be something like a gift card, or perhaps it's a charity donation, maybe a team happy hour, or extra PTO. Employees are a great way to sell your company and its culture. We've seen really successful campaigns run, especially in smaller communities where it's hard to find enough applicants to fill jobs. When you use existing team members, then it starts to become oh, I know so-and-so, that's my neighbor's son, or it just gives a better sense of community so that people can picture themselves working at your company. So if you recruit team members, they could appear in ads, they could appear at community events where you're trying to do some recruiting. Again, posting on social media about your existing team members, and then also encouraging them to volunteer at community partners, if you have any community partners, at their events. So if you are more in the boat of, I talked a lot about developing your employment branding and really coming from a place of building that up internally and in the long term. But I think a lot of you are probably on the call today because you're sitting with a few open positions and you need applicants right now. So that's what this part is about, recruitment campaign. So it's similar to what you would do, and you probably still want to go through the practice of how do I want to talk to these different groups, and maybe you aren't targeting students or parents or professionals in this, and it's more of that skilled worker. But we went through each of these audiences that we talked about before and identified tactics that we would recommend. So for students, things like video, Instagram ads, and online display are very effective for that age group. For parents, we recommend online display and Facebook ads. For skilled worker, we've seen paid search, online display, Facebook ads, and weekly newspaper ads work really well. And then for professionals, it tends to be more paid search, online display, and Facebook ads. And then we went through, I won't go through all of these, the KPIs and what success looks like, but identifying who are you really trying to reach and who are the applicants that would be interested in your jobs is important, because as we said before at the beginning, it's hard to cut through the clutter. So you really want to be using media that's going to reach the right people at the right time. So I've talked a lot about the next generation, and I just want to go through this a little bit because we get a lot of questions about some of the newer platforms. So when it comes to media, Gen Z, which is the generation that is younger than millennials, but are coming into the workforce, they consume media a lot differently than millennials and all other generations before them. They want really heavily visual content, and on the platforms, they want them to be all about entertainment, or, when I say entertainment, it might be very primarily video, and the interaction, so the ability to connect with friends or to message or comment is less important to them. That's just to sort of understand that generation a little bit. So ways to reach Generation Z. We see that Instagram and YouTube are the best platforms for that, both because they're highly visual and they use a lot of video. And we recommend Instagram especially because since they're owned by Facebook, their targeting and ad platform are really robust and stable, as well as YouTube. But we get asked about these ones along the right-hand side, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. Because anybody who maybe has teenagers knows that those are places they spend a lot of time. From an advertising standpoint, we're watching those. We haven't seen a lot of success in our recruitment campaigns that we've run on those. At TikTok, their advertising platform is still in beta. They're rolling it out, and we actually are part of the beta right now, but it's probably a better place for organic content. And from your perspective as dealerships, I don't think you need to worry about that yet. TikTok's still a pretty young platform. Snapchat has been around a while and continues to evolve its ad advertising. But we haven't seen great results with recruitment. We've seen good results for other things, but not recruitment. And then Twitch is a platform for a lot of people who play video games spend a lot of time on Twitch. It's a video platform similar to YouTube. And we haven't used it for recruitment simply because the minimum spends are really high. You're looking at spending tens of thousands of dollars to advertise on Twitch. So I want to talk about some case studies that we've worked on for other companies as well as for some AGCO dealerships. So this is for American Crystal Sugar, which is based out of Minnesota, and they have a season where they need to recruit skilled workers, and they need them all year round, but specifically during peak times of harvest season when they're harvesting sugar beets. So we developed a campaign that focuses on the perks of living in a small town. Their factories are located in 5 regional factories throughout the upper Midwest, and it's really hard to get applicants in those smaller towns. And so we ended up coming to their differentiator of it allows people to still live the small town life while making a competitive wage. So in these areas, a lot of people drive from their small town to a larger city to find a job that pays well. But we wanted them to know that they have that ability within their small city. And we used paid search, paid digital display ads, social media ads, newspaper ads, billboards, and signage in factories. So you heard me talk earlier about how digital is a really good way to reach these people, and then you see something like newspaper ads is included in here. For this particular client, we used weekly newspaper ads because in this area, those are still really highly read. And so again, this goes back to it's going to depend on your community on what we would recommend for you. But for this particular case, we found that that was effective. So the results were it drove 18,000 plus users to the website over the short period of time. We just ran this for a couple months. And the client feedback was they immediately saw an increase in their application, and the quality of applications was significantly better prior to running this. And so we did this 1 year, and then they came back and they wanted us to just keep doing this all year round because it was so effective in finding them really quality workers. They didn't see the drop-off in people leaving after the busy season was over. And this example is for agri-service. So they needed to recruit mechanics with diesel or ag equipment experience. So what we did was develop a campaign that focused on a career, not just a job. So that goes back to that idea of creating your your employment brand. So it's not just somebody looking for an $18 an hour job or whatever it is. It's truly about, this is the place that I want to work, and I'm proud to call my home for a long time. So we targeted workers at businesses most likely to have those mechanics, and we put a specific emphasis on John Deere dealerships through geofencing, a display campaign. So what that means is we're able to draw a kind of a physical line around competitive businesses or businesses where we think those applicants might work and maybe not be the happiest in their jobs. And then we can, anytime, it puts basically a pixel on your phone, and anytime somebody goes into that business, and I think we set the frequency high on this, so it was people who showed up in this very specific location more than a certain number of times a week were served these display ads that you see on their mobile devices. Just for the next month, we can target them, and so they had good results with it. So the visits to their careers page nearly doubled during the campaign, and anecdotally, it sounds like they got some good candidates. This is an example of a campaign that we did for a Air National Guard recruitment campaign, and they were focused on that next generation. So it was the North Dakota Air National Guard needed to recruit 180 recent or soon-to-be high school graduates, but a lot of parents and kids in that age group didn't really understand that as a career opportunity after they graduated from high school. So we decided to focus on the great benefits and the opportunities that the Air National Guard offers. We use social media, including Facebook, to target parents and Snapchat to reach students. Then we use display ads, a landing page, a job fair, or we created some job fair booth materials and lead generation campaign to get people signed up with a recruiter to get some more details. So for the students that we targeted, we had almost 900 students visit the page, and we had 29 students fill out the form to get more information. And then for parents, we had 900 parents also visit the landing page and get 5 to fill out information for more students. So while we didn't necessarily get 180 form completions, that wasn't the goal. The goal was to raise awareness among students and parents as an option, but we still did get, for form completions, that is still a very high number for kind of a small target audience. So I just wanted to provide what a sample campaign budget might look like. As I've said a couple times now, depending on where you're located and what you are trying to achieve, this could look really different. So this is just an estimated budget for 1 month based on running 3 types of jobs. And I say that because those 3 types of jobs are going to require maybe some different photo assets to be used, as well as some different targeting. So if you maybe have just 1 job type, that might be less. If you have 10 job types that require us to target very differently, then this might be more. But for about a month, $3,000 for paid search, $1,500 for online display, $1,000 for Facebook, $1,000 for video ads, and then the weekly newspapers would really vary depending on your community and how many we needed to advertise in. So with that, we will start taking your questions that you've either messaged to us or are thinking of and messaging right now. I believe Liz might have a couple that came in while I was talking.
Yeah, we've got one here. Can AGCO Direct help me to create a referral program?
Yes, so we've created several referral programs, and I talked about that earlier in the presentation. A referral program is when you're incentivizing your existing employees to recommend somebody they know or a family member for a job. And so we've created several referral campaigns and can help write whatever the guidelines are and the requirements, as well as even just come up with some ideas for you of what that could look like and what would be most effective for whatever it is you're trying to do.
All right, we have another. AGCO Direct already helps me with social media. How can we work in recruitment posts?
Yeah, so if you already have AGCO Direct doing some social media for you, whether it's the social media program that you're enrolled in, or if you're doing some paid ads for us, we can definitely take a look at what you're doing and make some recommendations on how we think you should mix in recruitment or employee branding into that, as well as write any copy or place any ads for you.
Are recruitment campaigns co-op eligible?
That depends a little bit. So I believe the example we used for agri-service, so in the ads they ran, they used the AGCO logo as well as AGCO equipment, so that makes it eligible for co-op. Others that we've done are more focused on the dealership, or maybe want to focus on some of the other lines that they carry that aren't AGCO, so those are not co-op eligible. But if you're not sure, please reach out to your account manager to ask. Got a couple more coming in.
Who do I talk to get started with social media posts?
You can reach out to whoever your AGCO Direct contact is. They should be able to get you set up with something very quickly.
So that seems to be all the questions that we have right now. If you have some that come up after you leave today, you can contact the AGCO Direct team. The phone number is at the bottom of the screen, or you can email us at ads@agcodirect.com. All right, and that concludes today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining.